In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to load data from an Excel file into R within RStudio. So if you're an advanced or intermediate user, all you need to do is take these 4 lines of code and then you can stop watching the video. For beginning users, I'm going to go through the procedure in a little bit more detail. So what we'll start with is we will actually fix the layout in RStudio. So the way I like to do this is I like to have the console on the right, which you can access through these menus. So there you see it has changed around a little bit. I like it better that way. Now let's keep going. So of course the next thing we'll do is we'll make a new R script file. If you haven't done that already, I already have done that, and you can see it in the video here. But the way you would do that is you would go to File, New File, R script, and then follow along to save your R script file, probably in the same folder wherever you've saved your Excel file, which is what we're going to look at next anyway. So as I'll demonstrate here, this is a folder on my computer, and within this folder I have an Excel file where my mouse is right now. Now let's open that Excel file and look at what's inside it. And this is that Excel file right here. So as you can see, I borrowed this file from Contextures, and the citation for that data is in the video. You'll see it in a little bit. Anyway, this Excel file has 3 sheets within it. And the sheet of interest to us is the one called FoodSales, as you can see in the bottom left here. So I'll click on FoodSales, and there you go. This is the sample data that we're going to be practicing with today. So again, this Excel file has this data in this FoodSales sheet, and then that file is within this folder. And you can see what folder your data is in by clicking up here, if you're on a Windows computer, that is. And you can even copy and paste this file path here. You can copy it into RStudio if you want. I've already done that, as you'll see in a little while. So let's go back to RStudio. So the next thing we want to do is we want to set our working directory. And so the instructions to do that in more detail are in this other video here. You can see the link for that on your screen. And on my computer, the command to do that is in line 23 here, setwd. So I'm going to run that line. There we go. And you see that that line was sent for me to the console on the right. And I ran it from the left over here. So it automatically sent it over there. Now, one cool thing in RStudio is within the Files viewer, you can click on More, and you can say Go to Working Directory. And so now you can see that these files are the same files that you see here. And this is the folder I want to be working out of today. And that's what we call the working directory. And that's where my Excel data is. So that's perfect. Now RStudio knows to look for things inside of this folder. All right, let's keep going. So we inspected our working directory just now. We made sure that the Excel file is in the working directory. There it is, where my mouse is, in the bottom right of your screen. This is the source of the data, in case you want to look this data up for yourself. And that's in line 29, the data source. Now we'll go down to line 34. Now we are ready to load the ReadXL package. That's my favorite way to load Excel data into R. Like many things in R, there's more than one way to do this, but this is the way that we'll be using today. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run each of these lines one at a time. So I'm going to run line 34. My cursor is on line 34. I'm going to run that. So here we go. That ran in the console. Now, one thing to note is that if the ReadXL package had not already been installed on my computer, right now RStudio would be installing the package and you would see different output than what you see on my screen. But since I already have the ReadXL package on my computer, that was not demonstrated in this video. But as long as you run this line, you should be fine. And then after that line has completed running, meaning line 34, let's go down to line 35 and let's run that. This loads the ReadXL package onto your computer if it did not get loaded in the previous line already. So to be on the safe side, I recommend that you just run both of these lines, 34 and 35. Okay, now before we go any further, let's quickly glance down in the bottom left at this Environment tab. And you can see it says here, environment is empty. So that tells us nothing has been loaded in yet. Okay, so keep that in mind, and then let's go down to line 41. In line 41, once we run it, what's going to happen is R is going to create a new data object. I'll refer to it as a data set, but technically in R, it's what's called a data frame. And the name of that data frame is going to be D. And that's a name I chose for myself. So you can change D to anything else you want. You could call it my data or, Apple, anything you wanted at all. But I'm going to call it D because it's easy to type and the letter D reminds me that that's my data. Then I'm going to use the ReadXL function, which is part of the ReadXL package that we installed and loaded previously. Then the ReadXL function takes two arguments that we're going to use today. So the first argument is simply the name of the Excel file. And you can get the name of the Excel file, remember, from down here. That's the name of the Excel file in the folder where you saved your data. And then remember, when we looked at the Excel file, there were 3 sheets within the data. And the one we wanted, the one we're interested in loading into R, it's called FoodSales. And so I'm going to write sheet equals FoodSales right here after this comma. All right, so let's go ahead and run just this line of code. So remember, we ran each line of code individually, one at a time. All right, and let's see now. So that line of code was sent to the console. And of course, I recommend never directly typing anything into the console. Always type your code or copy and paste your code into an R script file, as you see on the top left here. That way you can save your work and repeat it again later. Never directly put any code into the console. Then you click the Run button, and RStudio will automatically send your code into the console. Okay, so we ran line 41. Now, what happened after that? Well, let's glance back down at our environment in the bottom left. Now you can see that it's no longer empty. It includes an object called D, which is our data set. And it's giving us a little summary here that this data set has 244 observations with 8 variables. So that's great. And we already looked at the console just now. And what we're going to do now is inspect the data. And so there's 2 ways I'm going to quickly demonstrate of how to inspect the data that we've loaded. The first is to take your mouse, put the mouse right over the letter D, not this arrow, but right over the letter D, and double click 1, 2. So I did that, and it opened a data viewer in the top left. So now you see I have my original code file in this tab, and then I can move my mouse, click on this. This is the data viewing spreadsheet that it popped up for me, and you can see this is the very same data that we were looking at in Excel much earlier in the video. Okay, so now let me close that for a moment. And show you another way to pop up the data viewer, which is in line 49. It's using the view function with a capital V. So if I run line 49, which I'm going to do now, click the run button here, same thing. It pops up my data viewer. So that's two ways to inspect the data that you've loaded into R using Excel, from Excel rather. Okay, so now I'm going to keep that open. I can go back and forth now, see, between my code and my data if I ever want to look at my data. So now your data has been successfully loaded into R from Excel. So we've achieved our objective. And then just to demonstrate that we've done it and that we can now start using our data, in line 53, see here, you can make a table. You can run this line. See now, it sent our code to the console for us. It also gave us this output of a table that we made. And of course, you'll run a bunch of other different types of commands to start your data analysis now that you have your data loaded into Excel, into R, from Excel rather. Hopefully this video was helpful, and thanks for watching.